Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
All right, guys. As I said before, we're going to be evaluating Stephen Young, interview part 2. Where we left off last time was at the 27-minute mark. I went over to GHI. I clicked the video, and GHI or the YouTube cache memory algorithm, whatever, remembered where I was at last, and this is where I was at last. So we'll start at the 27-minute mark. Let's see what we hear, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, we put the kids at my mom's tonight so we can have a night off.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because she would just need, like, we has time to breathe and need space away from the kids. Like, okay, let's see, you know, we can do that. And we try and put them out, but it was different when I was there. Like, nobody slept in the bed with us, unless it was a nightmare. Like, that was my condition. And if she wanted space, then we would coordinate stuff with her family to go watch them.
I don't know what conversations you've had with Ashlyn since this has all happened. Ashlyn I've
asked her a lot of questions, not try to be too pointed, but hopefully to get some stuff. Asked her, like, did he ever try and spend alone time with you, or try and just, like, hang out with you and Maddie alone when Jen wasn't around? Did Maddie ever talk about him, you know, specifically? Did she ever say anything positive or negative? But was there at any point in time she wanted to specifically talk about him, like, in any way? Did you ever see a mood change? And so talking about it, and she was like, yeah, like the past couple of years, she's been like, they almost like stopped playing games because Maddie was just like destroying her stuff on Minecraft, and it was frustrating my daughter. And she was like, I'm done playing with her. And then I guess like a few months ago, she just started playing nice and started playing better. And so, like, I'm trying to think about this with the timeline and trying to remember. I was like, is this when Jen?
So it seems like right now he's kind of giving us some insight into how Maddie's behavior kind of changed for the better. It definitely could coincide with the fact that Stephen Stearns was no longer there. But I mean, from our research, from what we've seen, somebody said my mic is low. Let's see if we make that a little bit better. Is that better? Just let me know if the mic is a little bit better. But from my research and from what we've seen, it appears that Stephen really never left. Like, he still was coming back very often and spending a lot of time with them. But I can see that even the smallest difference, whereas he's not sleeping over there every single night, can make a world of difference for Maddie. So let's keep going. I'm going to work on my mic situation.
And kicked Stephen out of the house.
When was that?
I'm trying to remember when they separated. I'm trying to figure that date. Was that a few months ago? Is that when Maddie started lightening up and started feeling better and stopped being destructive to everybody around her? And did she start feeling like she could push back on this guy, you know, after being gone for a few months? And then this fucking happened. And remember anything?
In the last couple of months, she just noticed a little bit of a demeanor change.
Yeah. She was playing a little better online, and she was acting a little nicer.
And then Maddie communicate.
They text every day.
Like text messages through the phone, Snapchat, IG?
No, my daughter doesn't have Instagram. She has Discord.
What's her name on Discord?
I'd have to look it up. Give me a second. If I have service in here.
All right, so we do know that Maddie was active on the internet. That's interesting. That's good to know. I think the police have made themselves available of that, but this is good information. I hope the mic sounds better, by the way. I've adjusted it. So just keep letting me know in the chat. Unfortunately, with this software, OBS, for any OBS software developers out there, you got to do something about all of people's settings disappearing whenever you update the application. That's ridiculous, okay? But anyway, so far, good stuff.
I'm sure you'll see it on Maddie's as well. She did try and message her after all this just to see if she was online, was able to pop up. So, well, one of the recent hays is from my daughter. I have to download it. Give me a second.
Do you know if anybody else communicated with Maddie through Discord, like Jen, Stefan, any of Jen's family or anything like that?
This other boy, Tyler.
Stefan uses Discord?
I'm sure he does. I don't know what it is.
He said this other boy, Tyler. Is he talking about the bio dad right now? I mean, listen, people only know, and listen, I'm not sure. Maybe some other different Tyler, but I'm just going to give you a little tidbit, right? A little tidbit is when you're involved in a relationship with somebody and they have a past relationship that's still going to be involved in your lives, like most likely an ex-husband or a baby daddy or something like that, or even a baby mama, your new partner, they're going to experience that person through your eyes because they're going to hear from your side of the story what that person did to them. So the way that he says that, if he's talking about Tyler, the baby daddy, that means he does not have a very good view of this man. If he's saying this other boy named Tyler. Now, Tyler is a very popular name. It's also a very popular Caucasian name. So it's possible it could be a different Tyler. But how many Tylers is Maddie talking to online? I don't know. But to say this other boy Tyler, that's not said with a lot of respect. It's not said with a lot of revere or anything, or even for his position of being the bio father. If he's talking about the bio father, he's talking about this guy like he's not really worth much. But let's keep going.
But it wouldn't surprise if he did. I know he used Reddit. Wouldn't surprise me if he had multiple accounts of how often he was on it type deal.
Let me bring that back a little bit because we really don't have a lot to go. Like we only really have 15 more minutes. So I'm not stringing along. I think this is important. We got to go backwards, but we're not going to be here for no 2 hours because we don't have much to go. So let me bring it back just a tad bit. We're at 31. I'm going to bring it back to 29.
Like text messages through the phone, Snapchat, IG?
No, my daughter doesn't have Instagram. She has Discord.
What's her name on Discord?
I'd have to look it up. Give me a second. If I have service in here. I'm sure you'll see it on Maddie's as well. She did try and message her after all this just to see if she was online, was able to pop up. So, well, one of the recent hays is from my daughter. I have to download it. Give me a second.
Do you know if anybody else communicated with Maddie through Discord, like Jen, Stefan, any of Jen's family or anything like that?
This other boy, Tyler.
Stefan uses Discord?
This other boy, Tyler. Now, you ask a question as a detective, you got to listen for an answer. He told you Tyler. Tyler who? And then you could come in, what about Stefan Stearns? But he's giving you, because this is an underage girl, so Tyler could be another pedophile. If it's not the father, if it's a different Tyler, it could be another adult, another person who's exploiting this child. You want to hear, who is Tyler? Where do you know him from? How old is this guy? You ask that follow-up question. But I mean, obviously the detective was laser focused on Stefan Stearns, and he couldn't wait to get to Stefan Stearns. But he gave you a name. Who? Which Tyler? Now, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate and say, but I mean, common sense would say he's probably talking about the baby daddy Tyler. But listen to how he said it. It was very flippant, very disrespectful. One last time, and we'll keep moving.
Do you know if anybody else communicated with Maddie through Discord, like Jen, Stefan, any of Jen's family or anything like that?
This other boy, Tyler.
Stefan uses Discord?
I'm sure he does. I don't know what it is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. I know he used Reddit. Wouldn't surprise me if he had multiple accounts of how often he was on it type deal.
Like, I know very limited stuff about Reddit. So I know Reddit is like forums that you can look at stuff or whatever. Any idea like what kind of forums he would be part of?
I only know now because his username's been put online and I've looked through it. I didn't know beforehand.
What's his username?
Give me 1 second, I'll pull it up for you. He's been on recently on Ask Teens over the past month. I saw. Sorry, I've had a lot of text messages recently.
That's okay.
Now you heard that from Steven. We already covered a lot of that. Not all of it. I don't think you could ever cover all of it. But we covered a lot of that, where Stephen Stearns was in these teen-oriented sections of Reddit. I got to tell you, Reddit is a place, it's much like the internet, where you can find a lot of good things. I've found a lot of good things. Like I'm learning to fix things, and I can't find it on YouTube. I might find an answer on Reddit, whatever. But then Reddit can also be a very toxic place. Like there's a lot of toxic people, and they feel empowered to just do and say whatever. It is what it is. It's kind of like Twitter a little bit, you know what I mean? But you go on this site and look at the type of people that's on there. Now, listen, there's probably a lot of Redditors who are watching this right now. I'm not talking about you, obviously. I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you do on Reddit. But this just gives us a glimpse into the type of people that can be in those forums. Look, Stephen Stearns was in those forums giving advice to children. Of all people, he was giving advice to children and sounding like a pro too while he's giving it. Sounding like a pro while he's giving it. I mean, guys, man, listen. Wow. I don't know. Let's keep going. Somebody said Tyler is the boy Maddie had a crush on. Okay, I don't know. We just got to verify it, but that might be a different Tyler right there. So maybe that's why he glossed over it so quickly. Not because it was a baby father, but because it was a boy she had a crush on. I don't know. We have to verify that, but certainly I appreciate you for putting that out there in the ether. Let's see if other people can second and third that and give us a source to it, and then we'll make it sacrosanct. It'll be the law. Appreciate you. Let's keep going.
That's his username on Reddit. At least his public one. I'm still trying to see if I can have friends find any alternates that he has. Because most consistent Reddit users have at least 2 or 3. At least in my experience. I'm sure you guys use way more than me, so you guys may know more about that. But
so if that's his username, you can see what forums he's part of.
You can see the ones he's posted in, just like all the places he's made comments and stuff. He has like 6.5 years of history, it looks like. Mm-hmm. The past month, like it's all like gaming stuff. You can see the progression over time. Like I saw a picture of him 6 years ago at my house playing tabletop games, like a picture of the board that we were playing on, like adult board games and guns, and then Nerf guns and Tamagotchis, and just
he's just a child, man. He's a child. He literally is a child. You know, listen, a lot of people play these adult tabletop games like Warhammer 40K, Battletech, and all that stuff. A lot of people play those things. It doesn't make you a child. I personally probably would find them extremely boring. But on the flip side, Warhammer 40K, I enjoy the lore of it. I enjoy watching like videos and animations and just the lore of it. It kind of plays to a male psyche in terms of it's about warfare. It's about blood and guts. If most guys, we like stuff like that. But when you add in the other things, so if it was just a Warhammer 40K and the tabletops, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, he's a hobbyist. That's what he likes, because those hobbies aren't just about playing tabletop stuff. I don't know who that is. It's not just about playing tabletop stuff. It's about, like we see in the pictures behind us, coloring, you know, painting the figurines and doing all these different things that folks do to be a part of that hobby. But when you start adding in the Tamagotchis and the Nerf guns and the this and the that and the third, this guy is, like I've said for a very long time, he's a man in arrested development. He's a man child. He's a boy. You know what I'm saying? Like when you add in all those other things, now it's a bridge too far. because now you're spending more time doing child's play than adulting, which is basically what he was doing. So I'm not shaming anybody who's out there who has these same interests. Not at all. Because most likely, hopefully for you, you found a balance where you could do the things that he was doing, collect the things that he's collected, and still be an adult. But this guy did not find that balance. It was all or nothing for him. And he chose to be a little boy, and he acted like a little boy, and he did not conduct himself like a man because he couldn't even hold a job. But let's keep going.
More childish stuff. You can see the way he talks starts to change online. There's more emojis. His gender starts to become more generic and stuff. It's like you can see like there's a warp in the way he acts online over these. It's weird, like seeing this change, and then now it's all. And then like the past month, you can see like ask teens.
Ask teens, that porn ask teens?
No, it's just like teens could ask questions about life, and there's even more.
I think this is extremely probative, guys. Like, let's listen to, because he's kind of giving a profile on this guy on the low. He's talking about the changes that he's observed in Stephen Stearns. Remember, he knows Stephen Stearns better than most because he spent a lot of time with Stephen Stearns. So let's listen to that one more time as he describes the change. Listen to all the things he says, like started being more gender neutral, more emojis. And I think what Stephen is saying is that he's starting to kind of like pass himself off more like a child. What would that mean for him? That would mean that he would be able to get access to children on the internet. Believe it or not, most kids are savvy. They're going to run away from adults that's like, hey, I'm 40 years old. I'd like to talk to you. They'll be like, oh, hell no. Hey, I'm 65 years old. What's going on, little teenager? I want to talk to you. No, whoa, get away from me. How the predators get them is that they pretend to be like their age. And then in time, if the child finds out, the child is already roped in, the child is already groomed, the child is already, liking this individual, this predator. It seems like he was kind of going down that path, trying to like disguise himself almost. Let's go back. Let's see.
Where is it? Sorry, I don't know if you guys already looked through this or not. Or I'm sure you guys have another team. Tamagotchis, years of history, it looks like. The past month, like it's all like gaming stuff. You can see the progression over time. Like I saw a picture of him 6 years ago at my house playing tabletop games. Like a picture of the board that we were playing on, like adult board games and guns, and then Nerf guns and Tamagotchis and just more childish stuff. You can see the way he talks starts to change online. There's more emojis. His gender starts to become more generic and stuff. It's like you can see like there's a warp in the way he acts online over these. It's weird, like seeing this change, and then now it's all. And then like the past month, you can see like ask teens,
that porn ask teens.
So he said, okay, he described all those different changes, and then the culmination for him is now he's on Ask Teens in Reddit, the Devil's Playground. Let's keep going.
No, it's just like teens could ask questions about life. And there's even one. Where is it? Sorry, I don't know if you guys already looked through this or not. Or I'm sure you guys have another team who probably does all the IT stuff, or I don't know. Yeah, there was one that was a girl was asking about being pregnant and what to do, and he responded on it, and it freaked me the fuck out. This. I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. And him responding.
Sorry, I gotta zoom in.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Greatest.
I'll let you read that, Mark. I want to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When you were with Jen, I know you had said back then she wasn't on medication for her mental health, and that was kind of building up.
Yeah, not that I recall her being on meds.
Was Maddie on any medication back then?
No, not that I recall.
No.
I think the only person on meds was my daughter for ADD.
Okay.
Yeah, like, damn, man. This is not a knock on anybody. This is just my observation, guys. This is literally my observation. And I've said this before, and I'm saying it again. And maybe it's just a fluke of circumstances. But why are all these people diagnosed with either mental health or developmental or personality disorders? And this is not to knock them, because if they're diagnosed, okay, they're diagnosed. This is to say, like, is there a larger issue? Like, is there something in the water? Is there something in the food? Is there some type of malpractice that's happening in our culture? Even his daughter. All right, so we don't know about Stephen having any kind of cognitive or mental health or personality or developmental issue. But he said his daughter had ADHD. I think that's what he just said, right? Let's go back. We just want to make sure.
And that was kind of building up.
Yeah, not that I recall her being on meds.
Was Maddie on any medication back then?
No, not that I recall.
No.
I think the only person on meds was my daughter for ADD.
All right, so ADD, whatever that is. I don't know, is it ADHD? Is that what he's trying to say? But he said ADD. I don't know what that is. So she's on medication for ADD, according to him, but I think he means ADHD. Maddie ends up going on medication. Jen is on medication. Stefan is on medication. Tyler's on medication. Tyler's wife is on hydroxyzine. Who's not on medication but maybe Stephen out of 7-8 people? 7-8 people, and only one person is not on medication for mental related, whether it's, I'm being careful because I hear professionals reaching out like, oh, that's not a mental illness, and that's a behavioral, and that's a personality, and that's a developmental. I don't know these things. I'm not a psychologist. Somebody says ADD is attention deficit disorder. And ADHD, Darla says ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Thank you so much for telling me the difference. Like I said, guys, I'm not a psychologist. So whatever, but they're affecting the mind, right? 7 or 8 people, and only one is not taking something that affects the mind. This is very tragic to me, and I hope that this is not a reflection of our country as a whole, or the world as a whole, because my mind's eye tells me that it's either these diagnoses are just being given out too frequently, or there's something environmental that's affecting people and making these things more. I'm trying to be respectful. I don't want to say something that diminishes the importance of it, but making these situations, these things, I'll say, more prevalent in people. It's something we really need to think about. We need to explore. We need to study. How can all these people have all of these issues in such a small, confined space? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay. Do you know if Maddie has ever been on medication?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. Do you know if she's been diagnosed with anything?
I heard she was previously diagnosed with autism, but
Okay.
I thought I also heard she was retested, and they said she only had autistic traits, but it was not autistic.
You know when that would have been?
Within the past few years. I think Jen told me when I talked to her earlier this month in February that's when she told me, I think that's when she told me that she wasn't showing, or she only had traits, and she was no longer diagnosed. It was ADD. Oh, I think she had ADD.
Okay.
And she had to take meds for that. Fuck. Sorry, there's so many kids.
Overload.
And I'll say it before and I'll say it again. I think that whatever doctor she's with, I don't know these doctors. I don't know what they saw. I don't know what they diagnosed. I think they did the best job that they could possibly do. I think they did the best job that they could possibly do without all of the information. I said it before. I say it again. I don't think Maddie had any of these issues. Everybody who experienced her as a child said she was a very sweet little girl. Kids with ADHD and ADD, they exhibit things when they're young that let you know, hey, might need a second look at this kid, to get them back on track, get them balanced. This little girl was a perfectly normal little baby when she was in Steven's life. Steven just told us that. Nice little girl. Nice little girl. Something changed. When Steven left, something changed. Now Maddie's on all these medications and she's diagnosed with all these different things. What changed? Trauma. Trauma is what changed. So these doctors did the best that they could do with the information that they have. You go sit down with them. You're the parent. Your parent has to report to the doctor because the baby, this is a minor child. The parent has to report to the doctor what they see. Oh, she's exhibiting this. She's exhibiting that. She does this. She does that. The doctor's going on to checkboard. Check, 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 check. Has she ever experienced this? No, not to my knowledge. All right, check. Mommy, has you ever seen her do this? No, not to my knowledge. Check. Mommy, has anybody ever did this to her? No, not to my knowledge. Check it off. How's the doctor supposed to make a proper diagnosis when the doctor doesn't have all of the facts? And the facts that the doctor needed is that from Strategic Eye's perspective, but the evidence shows 8 years old, but my experience tells me from 6 years old, this child was either being groomed or abused by Stephen Stearns. That is the fact that these doctors are missing that made them go ahead and diagnose this little girl with all these different mental health conditions, when in fact, I believe, my non-scientific opinion, because I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a licensed clinical social worker, my belief is that all of those things was as a result of trauma. Let's keep going.
I have so many nieces and nephews and cousins, and it's so many kids to keep track of. I have to call my daughter to see if she remembers, because I know they would talk about the medications.
But when you guys were together, you don't specifically remember her being on medication?
Not that I recall, other than like when she was sick type meds.
Right. Okay. How was your and Maddie's relationship? Was she pretty outgoing with you? Was she more reserved?
She was so bubbly. She was. I always describe. She was a Sour Patch Kid. She was always a little sour before she was sweet. But you have to get through that little bit of sour with her, that little bit of attitude. Like every picture of her you see, like she was a little hip hop. She was just like, it's always a little, she had like this face too. She could stare across her like, what are you doing? Do you have ice cream? I know you have ice cream. Like, she's had this way about her that she could like pierce into you and make you question what you're doing for a second. Like,
you hear this guy describing this little girl? She sounded like the typical cutesy little girl to me. Doesn't sound like the handful that Jen was talking about, that the only person who knew how to handle her was Stephen Stearns, and he was so good with her and he had the patience for her and all that good stuff. Remember when she made that statement right after being told that Stephen Stearns was graping her daughter? That's what she had to say about him. Remember that? She sounds like a normal, sassy, fun, attitude-filled, personality-filled little girl to me who's growing into her own. That's what she sounds like to me. Let's keep going.
Like, hold on, what? Okay, I'll share with the kid. You're cute, you know? And she was a brilliant kid. And she was smart in many ways. Bullheaded and all the rest.
Did she,
I wish. I tried. When he first.
I'm sorry I made that funny face. Like when I see Stephen Stearns, man, like, where's that picture at? Douchebag. I hate Stephen Stearns. Oh, man, I messed it. I messed up, guys. I don't know where I did, but I messed this up. There we go. Look at his face. Look at that dude's face. She's so happy. She's so happy to have a man. Remember, she don't want to be lonely. She's so happy she got a man. But you know what? That desire to be loved and taken care of and not be willing to put in the effort that it takes to be in a relationship, the effort it takes to be an adult, resulted in your child being victimized. You know, There are people in this chat who have debilitating, physical, not even just mental, but physical disabilities. Not all the time, because some mental disabilities are so debilitating you can never achieve normalcy. That's a fact. But most people dealing with these mainstream issues can find a balance that they can probably try and have a normal life. Think about trying to have a normal life if you have no legs and no arms. Quadriplegic. Or you have legs and arms and they have no deformities in them or anything, but you just can't use them because you have spinal issues. You have damage to your spinal cord and now you're paraplegic. Some people have way more complicated, debilitating lives that they have to make the best of. Jen had issues, but she still was able to go to work, even if it was just part-time. Jen had issues, but she was still able to afford a relatively new car, getting her car, follow all rules of traffic, arrive at her destinations, get her Botox done. Some people said, oh, maybe she was getting Botox for migraines. Well, she was getting Botox for migraines. Most likely it would have been covered by insurance and she was paying cash. I don't know why she was getting Botox. Maybe it was for migraines. Maybe it was for beauty. I don't know. But she had the wherewithal and the ability to do all these things. There's so many people who have such a bad lot in life, and yet they still try and stay positive and do their best to live life to its fullest. There's no excuse for the way she lived her life. Woe is me. There is no excuse to live your life the way that Jen lived her life, focusing on herself and her bed. And wanting to be loved so badly, but not willing to put the work in, that the only man who will put up with your crap is the man who's willing to put up with that crap so he can have access to your daughter. It's very, very sick and very sad, guys. Let's keep going.
I wish. I tried. When he first came in the picture for the first couple years, I remember I asked her all the time because I lived here in Florida. I was like, hey, how is he? How's Stefan? Is he treating you nice? Is he good to your mom? Just want to check on him. And yeah, I can go back if you look at any of those.
Nah, that's fine.
But yeah.
Do you know if she was pretty open with your daughter?
I feel like she was. I thought she was. I was hoping that the two of them had each other, so if anything ever happened, then they know they could talk to the other, and then somehow it would get to one of us parents so we could navigate it. That was my goal, was them to be sisters, to have the other person always confide in that's somewhere else. So, hey, they're not in the same shit you're in. They can help you get out if something's wrong. And that's what I always wanted them to have. But
now, have you asked your daughter if she's had these type of conversations with Maddie back then?
I've asked my daughter if semi-pointed questions without being too direct on any of this stuff. Just like I said before, did Stefan ever try and, hang out with you two one-on-one? Did Maddie ever talk about him specifically? But nothing. If I had gotten anything, I would have called you guys. I want anybody responsible for this to have the justice served, no matter who it is. I want them to be taken care of.
How would you describe Jennifer and Maddie's relationship?
They were really close. They were really loving. Jen sometimes could be distant depending on where she was at with her mental state, but she was always there for Maddie. Sometimes she would, I don't check out's the right word, but she just would be an overload, and she would just ask her mom to take care of Maddie. But she really did love Maddie.
I don't doubt that she loved her daughter. I think to say that somebody doesn't love their child is a bridge too far. You really have to have evidence of that. I think what happened is that Jen is a person that needs structure. if you listen to the way she talks about Stephen Stearns, she's a very submissive person. She needs structure. And when this man left, because remember, she didn't leave him, he left her. He left her because he couldn't take the trajectory that her mental health was going. When he left her, that structure went out the window. So Jen was always capable of being the parent that she ended up being, which is totally neglectful. But it's not for lack of loving her daughter. It's just that's just a part of her story. Like, she's a selfish person and she is dealing with these mental health issues and she's allowing it. She's got the victimhood complex and she's allowing it to dominate her life and separate her from her duties, which is the duties to Maddie, right? But when this guy left, that structure left. So now you're in the Wild Wild West. You're in the Wild Wild West because you're with somebody is now out in the world without any guidance. And I think that was the problem with Jen. She lost structure and guidance when Steven left. And then what replaced Steven was a man whose sole purpose and desire was to manipulate her to get access to her daughter. I think that's where we're at right now. So was she loving and did she care about her daughter when she had the family structure laid out and enforced by Steven? Sure, absolutely. But once that structure left and she was left to her own devices and she can now act out her true nature without being checked on it, that's when we start seeing everything go downhill and this beautiful child who had a future of infinite possibilities end up being victimized by Stephen Stearns. Let's keep going.
And Ash, and really try to take care of them. At least I thought. I just think she's just had so many mental issues that it caused lapses that caused this. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. This is a difficult question, but it has to be asked, and it's asked of other people as well. Do you think Jen had anything to do, or do you think she had knowledge of what was happening to Maddie?
I've been trying to ask myself that ever since I found out Stephen was arrested, and I thought that he was, somebody that was there to protect Maddie. And honestly, I think she could have made enough, I don't say stupid decisions, but wrong decisions with timing meds and things like that this kind of stuff could have happened. But I don't think there's any way she would have deliberately known, or if she had known, wouldn't have tried to get her out, of that situation. Like, she has family she can go to. She has friends like me and other places that she knows she can go to another state to escape someone. I felt like if she really felt like she was a danger, she would have gotten out.
Okay. That's interesting. Do we have more, or is it just redacted?
Confide in.
I thought it would have been Ash.
All right, it's just redacted. All right, let's listen.
I thought it would have been Ash. I was hoping that those two would have a close enough relationship that if something happened to one, they could tell the other. Because everybody needs someone like that.
How is your daughter taking it?
She's been broken. She's just been... It's kind of felt like the journey I've been on. It's just felt like the first 5 days was just solid crying, and now it's just feeling numb. Like, there's no tears left. It's not that we're not sad. It's just feel empty.
I know when this was all first going down and Stephen got arrested, that you and Jen had conversations about securing an attorney for him and stuff like that.
I thought he was innocent. And I was hoping that, okay, we can get this guy cleared so we can find the right person. Then that way it will help everything run smoother. So let's get all the ducks in a row. Let's get him. And I remember.
I mean, listen, this is interesting though, that these folks think this way. I'm not faulting him. All right, that's how he felt. But I would wait and see, hold on here, why are they pointing at this guy? Why are they pointing at this guy? Why is it? I'd ask those kind of questions, but okay. Jen, nah. Remember, he's hearing this stuff third party. We don't know what he was told by Jen and these other folks about them going after Stephen Stearns. Remember, Jen saw the pictures she saw the pictures of his penis in, you fill in the blanks. And she still asked for the father to get him a lawyer. That's a big deal. Now, if Steven saw the same thing and had the same reaction, then I'd be saying shame on him too. But he's just going off what he's being told. And he's like, nah, I don't know that to be Stefan's character. Get him an attorney. But Jen saw the pictures. She saw the pictures. Let's keep going.
For him on the phone, he was like, I want my phone. I was like, don't worry about the phone. Like, they have it. It's there. So we can buy you another one. You know, it's not a big deal. What you need to do is let them go through it. Do what they need to do so we know.
Somebody said that he seems fond of Jen. I mean, yeah, M. Shaw said that. He loves Jen. I mean, I said loved in past tense. I don't know how he feels about her now. Might still love her. I don't know. I'm not in his heart. But that was his wife. And he didn't divorce her because he wasn't attracted to her, or he didn't think which would be a terrible reason to divorce somebody, or he thought she was a bad person, or he divorced her because her mental illness became too much for him to handle. But if it wasn't for her mental illness, him and Jen would probably still be married now. The only reason why he has a new wife is because Jen just started spiraling down with the mental illness. So I could see why he still has a lot of love for her. And then he tried to maintain a friendship with her. And I think the only reason why he kind of pulled back was because his new wife's family was like, yo, we think this is inappropriate that you're still friends with your ex-wife and you guys still talk and hang out and all this extra stuff, and you're married to our daughter. We just don't think it's cool. But I think him and his wife maintained a relationship with Jen, but he kind of just fell back on his relationship with Jen in order to appease the in-laws. Let's keep going.
No, you're clear. And that way they could find who this really was. And that's what, because I thought that he was there to protect her too.
But he was asking for his phone. They say why?
I think he meant something like he wanted to check his packages. Like, he was always obsessed with buying shit. Always has to buying shit. I didn't quite understand that. Like, it threw me off, and I should have questioned it more in that moment when he said it, but I was just in such a frazzle, just like, no, we got to find out who did this. Like, if you're not it, let's get you a lawyer so we can make sure everything is done correctly, and then they can move on to find whoever that is. And then, like, once I found it was him, it was just like, I fucking defended this guy. I thought that he was there for her. Like, I would not have tried to defend this guy if I knew in any way, shape, or form that he was in any way culpable. I feel like an idiot. What point did that change
for you?
Where
you went from, hey, they might have the wrong guy, let's get him an attorney, to F this guy?
Once I found out that they found all the stuff on his phone. Okay. Once that came out, I'm like, what the I was surprised.
How did you hear about? Was it through the media or was it through Jen?
A combination of they both about came in at the same time. When I think Jen was in question at that time, I wasn't able to talk to her for too much around then. No, I think she had messaged me before I saw it on the media that he was arrested, because she was in shock that she had seen it and was told about it.
Do you think it was genuine? Her being in shock?
I can never read so way through text. Texts are emotionless. It's I can try and say I can read an emotion, but it's just text. I was a talker at the time, like in person. It's why I need to see people's faces. I need to hear their voice, see their pace to get a better idea. A text is just words on a page. But she just seemed.
Interesting. I think it's redacted. Should come back.
And she was trying to figure out, like, what degree should this guy be punished. And I was like, do it. Like, whatever if he committed a crime and they're asking you to press the charges, do it. And yes, she had told me before I saw on the news, because she was asking me, like, yes, press the charges, do it. Like, don't question yourself right now. He committed a crime. You let them press the charges. You let the police do what they need to do. So yeah, I did find out before the news.
Did Jen ever tell you about looking for Maddie or anything like that?
I asked Monday and Tuesday numerous times, because I have family in the area and friends in the area. They're all willing to come out and help search. And I kept asking. I was like, I can fly out. When can I come out? And she was saying nothing's organized yet. When I tried to talk to family members, they didn't have anything organized yet. And then eventually I saw that, I think it was Orange County requested that nobody be searching the area because my guess is they don't want people disturbing areas they want to investigate.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need to wait. I can't go and help search. And that was, I remember I kept asking the first few days, like, can we come out and search? I had family members can help search. Like, is there any organized parties that are happening? And, yeah, she just seemed in utter shock and she couldn't wrap her head around it.
You seem like you lived in Kissimmee for a little bit, or Kissimmee, Orlando area for a little bit.
Yep.
I think it's like maybe 10 more minutes. He's just giving good backstory information. That's why I'm not really saying much. But let's see what else we got.
Ever live in St. Cloud or anything like that?
No.
Does Jen or Stefan have any connections to St. Cloud that you know of?
Not that I know of.
I know you've been gone for a little bit, but
The only thing I know that might be done, because we were trying to look up stuff in the area when they're trying to find the bodies, we found there's a Warhammer store down there. I know he was really into Warhammer. Mm-hmm. That's in a very expensive game. So I don't know if he's familiar with that store. That's the only thing that I can think of. But I don't know personally that he went there. It was just a guess that we were trying to look to see if something was associated with them.
all right.
Did he ever disclose anything to you? Maybe not specifically about Maddie or anything, but being into certain things.
No, I was trying to think too if there's anything about sex we ever talked about or relationships or anything like that. The only thing I ever heard is from other. But that's all like secondhand. I have no validity to it. I can't validate anything. It's just secondhand something I heard. So.
And you heard this when?
Recently.
Like when this is going on or prior to?
Like when this is going on. Okay. I've heard this from people. I didn't know this beforehand. This is all, yeah.
When was the last time you talked to Jen?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah. I think I texted her earlier today just check on her.
In what context?
Just checking on her, seeing how they're doing. I still feel like her family is really close to me. Like her dad, Juan, and Yolanda we split up and divorced. So like I'm still trying to go over and help Juan out to get his apartment settled. I'm trying to be there for Yolanda if she needs anything.
So like he's still like really involved with the family, which is, I mean, good. I mean, people need allies. You know, I would never say it's okay for Jen to be isolated. I have my reservations about how she was as a mother and the choices that she made. And I think that we have every right to feel that way, myself and anybody else who has that. But, you know, I don't want her isolated. I certainly am happy that she has some type of support structure that's helping her through this. But I don't think she should get through this easily, because the mistakes that she made cost her daughter her life. And some people say, oh, Jen didn't do anything. You know, she was a bad mother, sure, but it's Stefan who did it. Sounds good. Sounds real good. Okay. But, you know, if you're a parent and your spouse is drunk and they're like, I'm just going down the block to drop the kid off to grandma, and down the block is half a mile down the road, you clearly see your loved one is drunk. You put them in that back seat, and you don't even put them in the car seat. You just put them in a seat and put the seatbelt on them. And they 4 years old. And then that adult gets into an accident and that child is gone. You are culpable. Now, I know it's a little bit extreme, but that's kind of like how I look at Jen Soto. Jen Soto, if we believe the information we have so far, remember, I do believe that she should be charged with negligence and child abuse and child neglect. I believe so. But that's not happening. At least so far, it's not happening. But when I take that example and I put it against Jen Soto, what I see is a person who basically abdicated their duties of being a parent to somebody else. That's basically what happened. She said, yo, I don't want it no more. You can have it, Stefan. And so if you're a mother who, you know, the statistics on children being abused, that most likely it happens with somebody who is a part of your family or close to your family. Those are the statistics. You know that your child is in puberty You know your child is a female. You know, I could go on and on. But the bottom line is, you keep allowing this child to go to bed with a man, you should expect that something is going to happen that's not good. And so she, as I said from the beginning, I've heard other people say it too, but I'm West Indian, so I said it first. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't care who says what first. I'm just teasing. But like I said before, she led the lamb to the lion's den. If a lion goes out and kills an elk and has his full, eats that elk up, gobble, 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 lion is full, and you bring that lamb into the lion's den, there's a chance that lamb might be able to go up to that lion, look at it, and walk out of that den without a scratch on his body. But let that lamb go into that lion's den when the lion is hungry, and you see what happened. One is a game of chance. There's a possibility you might make it out. The other one is guaranteed you're going to get eaten. If she keeps bringing that lamb to the lion's den day in and day out, go sleep with each other. I need rest. Go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed. Like she said, she slipped and said in that interview that she did with the police, if it's a school day, I let them sleep together. That's what she said. That's what she said. She spent all of her interview saying, oh, it happened rarely. Oh, maybe once or twice, maybe 5 or 6 times. Oh, it happened rarely. And then when she's on that couch, she said during school nights, they slept together. Eventually, Stephen Stearns was going to do something inappropriate. Now, we know that he was doing something inappropriate for a very long time. It didn't take him long to start doing inappropriate things. But eventually, having a child, a pubescent child, sleep in a bed with a non-biological family member, eventually something inappropriate is going to happen. That's why most people of sound mind don't put themselves in that situation. Now, most people of sound mind wouldn't do anything anyway. Even if you did it 100 times, they're not going to do anything. But they're not going to put themselves in that situation because it's inappropriate. It's counterculture. It's not something that's a part of our culture. And it's not smart. Most men won't even put themselves in that situation knowing that they wouldn't do anything just for the fact that this is my non-biological daughter. What if she gets mad at me and makes false allegations against me? That's possible too, right? So it's not even a matter of, well, are you going to do something just because you were put in that situation? No. It's also about self-preservation. Well, this is not my biological daughter. Who's to say she can't flip on me when she gets mad at me and say that I did something that I didn't do? And how am I going to say that I didn't do it if she has evidence that we're sleeping in the same bed together all the time? There's so many different reasons not to put yourself in this situation. So I'm not going to give her a pass. Once again, it's like the motto of the show. We're not giving passes. Because regardless of what mental and physical disabilities this young woman, Jen Soto, may have had, she led the lamb to the lion's den. Let's keep going.
I do worry about Jen and her mental health, and if she had nothing to do with this, then I would be there for her. If she has something to do with this, then take care of her. Like, do what you need to do. Like, I'm not here to defend somebody who's guilty. Anybody that hurt Maddie in any capacity, I want you to please do your job. Like, ask me anything you need to know. Like,
do you think Jen had anything to do with it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think she's just gone through a lot, and because of her mental health, it just caused lapses that ended up with this.
Listen, once again, I know sometimes, I've been evaluating going hard in these last few shows, and I'm a very empathetic person, and I want to, I'm gonna bring it down a bit because I don't want to seem like I'm not empathetic. We're going to start covering Diddy and these other things. I just it's a lot of research that goes in with those things. And I want to make sure I have a good show for you guys. And I want to see if I could start bringing some experts on the show so we could talk about these things, talk about mental health, talk about sex abuse. want to try to see if I could get some survivors on. You know, any survivors, please hit me up if you're willing to come on the show and tell your story. Want to talk to you on the back end, see if you're fit to come on the show. When I say fit, I mean like if your personality works for being on the platform. So it's not personal if I choose not to, but I'd like to hear from you. So if you're any victims, survivors, warriors who would like to come on the show and talk to me about what happened to you, talk to me about your journey, talk to me about the process and how you made it through and how you're able to cope. I just feel like all of that stuff is just an excuse. It's just an excuse for a bad parent. I'm trying to bring it down, like I said, because I don't want to seem like I'm not empathetic, but I am empathetic. I'm just angry. I'm furious that this little girl was failed on so many different levels. But I really, 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 really feel like when he says, you know, she thinks she's struggling with her mental health and all that stuff, I think it's just a cop-out. It's just a cop-out. Because there's no excuse for her failing her daughter in the amount of time that she failed her daughter, guys. We're not talking about this stuff just happened. We're talking about from age 6, in my opinion. The evidence shows like age 8. That's the first pictures and videos they have started age 8. But from my perspective and experience, I think it started at 6. From age 6 all the way to 13, guys. That's a long time. That's a long time to be abused, to be groomed. That's a long time for mommy not to have a clue. A clue. Of course, her words contradict that because she was always spoke to Stefan about the Woody Allen situation. I didn't want my daughter to grow up and fall in love with him and run off with him. So that means she had a clue. Obviously, it's not enough of a clue for the county attorney to charge her with something. But that's a long, long time of not knowing that this man was grooming and abusing your daughter. Let's keep going.
Do you think Stefan would take advantage of Jen because of her mental health? Like, was her mental health diminishing? Well, you said it was kind of diminishing when you guys were together. That's one of the reasons you possibly split. Do you think when Stefan got together with her that she continued to degress or progress with her mental health? Or
it seemed to keep degressing. And I'm not a psychologist. I don't know why that happens. You know, I try and look stuff up, but I'm an armchair expert. So, you know, it seems like mental health, you know, gets worse in your 30s. Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe but I'm not a psychologist. I have no idea. I'm just a plumber who loves a lot of people.
Bucks, then.
Not yet. Trying to build a company. We're almost breaking even.
How would you describe her emotions on a normal basis?
Jen or Maddie? Jen. She kind of seems a little muted most days. A lot's happened to her. A lot of things have happened to her. That's been hard that'd be hard for anybody to live with. And sometimes she gets excited about things, you know. She definitely gets sad about things. She doesn't seem as outward with her emotions. You have to like look at her, but you can see like inside, like sometimes she's torn and she's damaged, but the medications make it so you can't see it in her. Like she doesn't show it as much as like another person would sometimes, but like when you know her, you can see it inside of her. You can see how destroyed she is. You can see how anxious she is. You know, she sometimes looks calm. And it's just one of those things, like once you know somebody for so long, like you can tell some stuff about them. But
do you think her reactions have been genuine?
I think so. I think she's just like really medicating herself right now to get through it, and therefore she's really seeming really numb right now. But yeah, I keep seeing her break down and how sad she's been, and I feel it's legitimate, but I don't know if it's my own personal involvement with Maddie and my love for her that I don't think anybody else of that could have that capability of not loving Maddie. You know, maybe it's my own naivety, but my heart doesn't tell me that. But again, not a professional.
I know we touched on it a little bit, but have you known any medications that Maddie's on?
After we were talking about it, I think she was diagnosed with ADD and may have been on ADD med, but I don't know for certain.
Okay.
I can't like swear under any oath that I know she was on any meds.
But you did say that medication that, you know, Jen's been taking has caused her to go into a deep sleep or something like that, or...
Yeah, I think sometimes I don't know exactly which meds will knock her out, but I know I've been on meds before that made me completely knock out and, you know, pass out for the night and use the time for bedtime just to make sure, you know, like after all the parenting hours are done, you know, got to take it then. And I don't know which one she's been on and when, but I've been on medications like that for depression before, and sometimes they just knock you out. Like, you can't help the medication. That's what the doctor says is going to help you. You know, you try and work with the doctor so you can get better. And
How long are you staying down here for?
My wife and daughter are going to be flying back on Thursday. I'm going to help clear out some of the apartment on Thursday. I'll be flying on Friday. If you guys need to talk to me, have my phone number. Let me know. If there's anything you want me to ask my daughter, I really don't want her to get brought in to get questions. Like, I don't want her to get too scarred. But if you guys have questions you would like me to ask her, and I can try to approach her in a soft way, I'd be happy to help in any way I can. I just want to make sure I'm not scarring her anymore.
Let me ask you this. Does your daughter... Does she see any kind of therapist or anything like that on a regular basis?
Just before all this, we got her an occupational therapist, and we just got her started with a main therapist, like with a EAP 10-session program. And so that's why we're trying to get her back on Thursday because her first appointment's on Friday. But yeah, we're trying to
Does her therapist know what's going on?
She is aware of what's going on. Social work at school is aware of what's on. And then her occupational therapist is aware, just so they all know before she steps in, you know, everything.
Okay.
It looks like they're wrapping it up. Yeah, I think at 55 is like when my mind's eye is telling me 55 is when Tyler's interview starts. We're not going to go through Tyler's interview, obviously. We already did that. But I think it's almost over.
Are they on board if she discloses something to them, to that law enforcement, or, you know?
Yeah, if there's something pertaining to this case that she finds out or they find out, like, I want them to be able to share it. Like,
because I know they can't share information with us because it's a patient client.
I could talk to the therapist beforehand and ask them, like, hey, if you find out anything about this front, we need to contact some people so they can get the right information over. Is
that's between you and the therapist? We can't get involved in that,
right? But is that what you're asking?
If she happens to mention something during therapy, and that is,
I mean, they could actually just make the father sign a HIPAA form and a release form, and then they could pretty much get everything they want from her therapist. I would be interested in that if the family would be willing to do that, because I would want to know if there was any discussion with the therapist about Maddie, and possibly any abuse or anything like that. But you know, I think the detective's kind of making it a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. Just like any medical record, if you get the permission of the parents, that's just the end of it. It's over. Especially when you're dealing with a minor, or when you're not especially, but just when you're dealing with a minor. If the parents give the therapist permission to share that information will be shared.
told to you. Can you just please let me know?
Yes. Okay. Yes. If there's anything pertaining to this that will help out, I will definitely let you guys know. Again, if anybody is part of this, I want justice to be served.
All right. Anything else, do you? All right, we are going. It is 3:13. We are gonna.
All right, that's the end of that, man. So that was part 2, guys. So all right, so here's my verdict after seeing both interviews, or listening rather. I mean, we're kind of seeing, but we're seeing pictures. But anyway, after listening to both interviews, I think Steven's a decent guy. I think he did the best that he could possibly do for Maddie. I think he was a positive influence in her life. The relationship ended, and it is what it is. I mean, let's be honest, let's be serious here. I'm pretty sure being with Jen was not the easiest thing that one could do. And the marriage went its course, And when he needed to get out, he got out. It is what it is. Now, some people are upset about that, like, you're not supposed to leave somebody because of mental illness and stuff like that. Listen, man, I mean, we can't judge these folks when you're in that situation. Everything may have went downhill. Like she said, she kind of waffled a bit, but her sex drive goes in the toilet when she's on her medication. So think about you in Steven's position. She wants to sleep all day. She's moody. She's not being an attentive wife. He's doing all the cooking, the cleaning, the taking the kids to school, all that good stuff. She's not holding a job. He's going to school full-time. He's going to school part-time and working full-time. And she probably don't even want to give you no nanny. That usually is a relationship killer at that point, right? And so he got out and he found his happiness. He's married to a new woman and they're still married, and it seems like they're living their best life. And he, like you said, he's starting a small business and, he's doing his thing. And his daughter is safe, and getting therapy and get the help that she needs for whatever issues she may have. And also the trauma of losing her stepsister. Like, he had to do what he had to do. But while he was there, he noticed that Maddie was a good, nice little girl who was not medicated and was taught boundaries where she slept in her own bed or shared a bedroom with her stepsister, which is perfectly normal and fine. And lastly, he tried his best to maintain a relationship. He had to pull back after a little while because of his in-laws. His new wife's family was on some, too close with the ex type stuff. There's nothing much he could have done. It's not much he could do. He had no authority to tell Jen who to date and how to move on. He moved on and got married. So who is he to tell Jen, like, hey, you shouldn't be with that Stephen guy? He tried to be Stephen Stern's friends. They had some mutual interest. He tried to be his friend so he could stay in the life and, make sure Maddie was good and kind of get to know the guy that's kind of taking his place as the stepfather and all that good stuff. He did the best he could do. So I would definitely say that that Stephen Young is one of the few people in this story that I would say, is a decent individual and did a decent job in this tragedy. It's really sad that there aren't many more people that I feel fall into that category. Some of you guys will actually get mad at me because I will say that I think the grandfather, Maddie's mother, the grandmother, and Maddie's grandfather kind of fall in that category too. If you really think about it, like, people are upset with the grandfather, Juan, I think his name is, saying, oh, why didn't he let Maddie have her own room? Why he only cared about rental money? Let's be serious here. Let's be serious here. We don't know Juan's financial situation. We know he's probably old. He's probably surviving off of retirement savings or Social Security. He needed that money to pay for his mortgage, most likely, or to supplement his income. It's bad enough that his grown adult daughter can't afford to live on her own, does not have the ability to maintain a job and support herself and her daughter. It's bad enough he gave his daughter a place to live. Not only did he give her a place to live, she had the master bedroom on the first floor, which was the biggest bedroom, and she took up half of the living room and made that Maddie's room. There's nothing that says that Jen couldn't have slept in the living room and let Maddie have the master bedroom. That's what I would have done. If I'm a single dad and Maddie's my daughter and we're staying in Grandpa Juan's house and I can't afford, and I got to choose between my daughter having a master bedroom where she has privacy and a door and me sleeping on a bed behind a little screen, I'm going to choose me sleeping behind a bed in a little screen. That's what I'm going to choose. And I'm going to sleep in that living room and let my daughter have her own space so she could feel like a normal little girl. That's the sacrifice that a parent makes. JJ says Juan wanted the money. Trust me, I don't see anything wrong with that. I really legitimately, by the way, what's up, JJ? And why are you speaking in English, JJ? You're supposed to be speaking in Spanish. But I don't see anything wrong with that because at the end of the day, it was Jen's responsibility to give that little girl a good life. And if Juan is like, yo, I want my money, I need my money. Okay, how can you blame this guy for wanting his money? How can you blame him? That's his investment. That's his business, renting out those rooms. It just so happened his daughter can't fend for herself, so she's forced to live in his home. He gave her a master bedroom. He gave her half of a living room. It was her choice to choose to stay inside of the master bedroom and put her daughter in the living room. That was her choice. Juan didn't say that. Juan didn't say that. Juan didn't say, hey, daughter, you live inside of the master bedroom, and granddaughter, you stay inside of the living room. Why I keep making these crazy accents? That's not even a Puerto Rican accent. That was like an Italian accent or something. You know what I mean? At True Crime, I'm saying Wendy Williams. What's up, Wendy? I saw you was late. Welcome, Wendy. You're late to the party. I'm just joking. Wendy says, I moved in with my grandparents at 10 years old. My grandpa bought me a twin bed, so I didn't have to sleep with them. I demanded to be in their room, so he made it work. That's what's up. That's what's up. But I was just joking, JJ. JJ's back to Spanish again. I don't understand what you're saying. But so this is my thing. Like, you know, at the end of the day, the responsibility lied with Jen, you know? The responsibility lied with Jen. You know, at the end of the day, she could have gave that room to her daughter. The fourth room was barely rented out. They wanted to rent it, but you know, these things take time. So you can't just rent to people. You have to pick the right tenant. So these things take time. That room was open. You know, there's nothing that says that Maddie couldn't have stayed in that room temporarily. Juan didn't live there. He lived in Puerto Rico. Maddie could have stayed in that fourth bedroom temporarily. It looks like they were using it anyway. They were just using it as the abuse room, but it looked like they were using it anyway. You know, Maddie could have stayed in the master bedroom while mommy slept in the living room. If mommy had company over and wanted to get personal with another adult, she could have easily gone upstairs to bedroom number 4 and did whatever she had to do. It's, you know, it's an open room and it's fully furnished and it's temporary. They could have made it work. They didn't have to force Maddie to have a permanent location inside of that living room. So to me, that's not on Juan. That's on Jen. And at the end of the day, Juan allowed his daughter to stay in his home at a highly discounted rate. She was paying $400 and everybody else is paying $600 and $800 and she's paying $400. If she wasn't there, somebody else would be downstairs and they would be paying probably $800. I think the young lady is like in the second master bedroom, one of the roommates, and she was paying $800. And then the other roommate was in a smaller room, so it was paying $600. Jen was in the master bedroom on the first floor. That's a large bedroom. That probably would have commanded twice what she was paying. So Juan was already taking a fraction of what he could have made in order to give his daughter a home. Because remember, Yolanda didn't want Jen there. They didn't get along. But you know who could have stayed at Yolanda's house? Maddie. You know who didn't want Maddie to stay at Yolanda's house? Jen. And why didn't Jen want Maddie to stay at Yolanda's house? Because Jen wanted to spend more time with her daughter. That's why she told the daughter to come home on Sunday. And what happened when that daughter came home on Sunday? Jen saw her daughter for less than 30 minutes. Then she kicked them out of the room, sent them upstairs to the sex dungeon in bedroom number 4, ate a sub, went to sleep, and her daughter got killed. So at the end of the day, like I said, this woman, Jen, may have a ton of mental health issues and all that extra stuff, but none of it is an excuse for what she did. She was negligent, and she did not protect her daughter. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys immensely for joining me today. You guys are great. This was a members-only live stream and a Patreon live stream. So for the people who are going to be watching it on a replay, for everybody else, if you want to get exclusive access to this stuff, come join the membership, join the Patreon. You'll be able to get these added benefits. I do appreciate all the support that I get from you guys. You guys are amazing. Make sure you hit the like button, show love to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.